You are listening to KC Sports Network, the #1 podcast network for today's Kansas City sports fans. With former players from your favorite teams, informed perspectives, and former insiders, this is the place for you. KC Sports Network is proudly presented by Emprise Bank, your partner in possible.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of 21 Questions, brought to you by my very favorite pals at Macadoodles. Not you, Maddie. I'm sorry. I'm talking about Macadoodles coming to Lee Summit, Missouri this very month. Maddie, I am so excited for this. I really am. This is the most excited I've been for a Macadoodles, and none of them have ever been in my state or even my city. So I am crazy excited for this. We appreciate them sponsoring this show. We appreciate them coming to Kansas City. I want more in Kansas City because I just do. I mean, get them over to the Kansas side. Let's go with that. But yes, appreciate Macadoodles, and I appreciate Maddie joining me for this week's Q&A show. Maddie, my friend, how we doing?
You know, I was doing good until you decided to go with Macadoodles over me is off the top of the show. And now I'm just kind of here. I'm here because they pay me, like Marshawn Lynch said.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you a hug this weekend and make you feel better, bud. I'm so excited that we get to see each other this weekend. KCSN Golf Tournament is happening. When you are listening to this, it is happening today. So if you are coming, we love you. We are so excited to see you. If not, be ready for this next year because that thing sold out quick. So get ready. It's going to be a ton of fun. Maddie, what do you say we get into this? Get into the questions.
Yeah, we should probably answer some questions. You know, people got questions. We got some answers.
Yeah, these are all culled from the KCSN Discord, which you only get to ask if you are a KCSN subscriber. Sign up. It is either $5 a month or $30 a year. Getting all of our film and analysis, breakdowns, everything like that that's behind the paywall, and access to the best Chiefs community that exists as part of the KCSN Discord here. We're going to start with Matt K here. Says, should we be worried about the lack of interceptions on defense? Through 5 weeks, the Chiefs only have one, and they haven't really been in a position to get very many more. Maddie, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, that's a concern. I don't know if it's a big concern. I think obviously a defense that is good at turning the ball over is obviously going to be better than one that is not. I am with you, though. It seems like the Chiefs are getting a lot of targets to corners that have their backs to the ball, and that's just simply what's going to happen when you target outside corners a lot. Teams have seen, an area to attack there, and that's fair when you send the success that teams have had. So those are going to be the hardest plays to come down with some plays. I also think that the Chiefs aren't getting as much consistent pressure to affect throws, forcing, inaccurate throws at often. That's where you get a lot of interceptions. So I'm mildly concerned, but it's not something, turnovers are something that is not consistent enough for me to get too worried about this early in the season.
Yeah, it definitely is because they're targeting some of these outside guys that I haven't played the ball particularly well in the air. I want to see a team that's going to attack the middle of the field a little bit more, and I want to see it after Trent McDuffie is back in the equation here. So I think that we can see maybe a little bit better performance, and we'll see a little bit more targets in the middle of the field. Hell, Willie Gay should have a couple by now, and he should be leading the team in interceptions without even playing for the last 4 games. So I think we're going to see some more. I think they will come. But yeah, I'm with Maddie. They're so hard to predict. They're so hard to really get consistent performance out of that, especially at the areas of the field that the Chiefs are being targeted. So they'll come. I'm just not too worried about it yet. All right. Our good pal Grayson asks, who trades for Ronald Jones? He asks Arizona, Broncos, Seahawks. I will say this. It's not going to be the Broncos. I just don't. And the Broncos are going to have to give up a ransom for the Chiefs to be like, here, let me help you. Arizona, Seahawks. I mean, Arizona is probably the better team right now, and they have been through just a really rough stretch of injuries at running back. So I could see maybe them offering a little bit of something. Seahawks right now just seems so out of it. And I don't know that Ronald Jones is the guy that they would want to hinge their hopes on in the future. So I don't know that they want to trade too terribly much for him. Matty, I think those are the teams. If we're talking about teams that need a running back, how do you feel about any of that?
I don't think Seattle makes a lot of sense. If anything, they should be trying to recoup draft. Not that Ronald Jones would take a lot, but they'd be trying to recoup draft picks to get a quarterback. I think they have enough guys that play running back on the team they feel okay with as well. Cardinals make a little bit more sense, but it's still the same thing. I think they traded away draft capital already. Do they have enough to trade? And who's trading for Ronald Jones? I don't think anybody wants to trade for Ronald Jones, right? Like, he's shown nothing during his NFL career to make you think that you have to go get him, right? If he's chilled on the practice squad and some team wants to snag him and immediately put him on their active roster, I think that's even a 50-50 at this point in time. So no, I don't think anybody trades for him.
Yeah, I think you're talking a late day 3 pick, if anything, in that scenario.
From the future year.
Or a future year, maybe even like that. And
like a
I don't know.
7th
at this
from
point,
2026.
Maddie, would you take that?
Why not?
He's been inactive.
Why not? The Chiefs just brought Wayne Gallman to their practice squad. I like what I've seen from Wayne Gallman better in the NFL than Ronald Jones.
Well, and I think that's the thing. They very clearly trust the front 3. And they're very clearly carrying Ronald Jones just in case there's an injury. And we're now 5 weeks into the season. Like, how many more weeks do you sit there and just say, hey, listen, we're going to let him dwell on the practice squad? Cut to him having an excellent week 16, 17, 18 to close out the season. And now all of a sudden we're like, man, it's a good thing they kept him on the inactives all year long. Going to pull a Derek Gore on us. Matty J asked this question. Why does Andy continue to force a pass early in games? Only 3 rushes in the first half until the late second drive when McKinnon got going. Offense has worked better this year when well balanced, and the defense doesn't know when the run or the pass is coming. Matty, how do you feel about that?
The Chiefs are still better passing the ball than they are rushing the ball. I think that Tampa Bay game skews a little bit of kind of what we think of the run game, because they had a really good plan versus whatever the Buccaneers front was giving them. And they executed it extremely well. But if you go back and watch, I understand it was only 3 rushes, but a rush of 0 yards or a rush of -1 feels a lot more demoralizing than having an incompletion for this team. It just feels more demoralizing than having an incompletion, or better yet, just run one of your silly little wide receiver screens that pick up minimum 2-3 yards. That's already better than a run play that's getting 0, right? It's like, I understand, because the Chiefs run game is still very inconsistent. Now, run gap scheme stuff. Just run gap scheme stuff. They have a far less negative, especially without Nick Allegretti. And I don't want to single him out as being bad, but like, there was clearly limitations on him being out there and how effective they were. If you have a healthy offensive line and they're going to run some of their, single back power, some of their counter runs develop kind of slow. So you see some negative plays there, but the single back power stuff, the little bit of Y insert stuff they do, that's at least netting positive yards almost every single time. Yeah, run more of those. Picking up 2 yards isn't a successful run necessarily, but it's at least not a negative, and you don't feel demoralized. So I think it's the types of runs that they pick more so than how much they run that kind of get on my nerves.
Yeah. Z Andera asks, does this weekend decide the MVP? Oh my goodness. I pulled up the DraftKings odds here. Josh Allen currently has the best odds to win the MVP. He's at +200. Patrick Mahomes is second at +450. Jalen Hurts at +600. I may or may not have put a little money on Jalen Hurts just then. I love you, Patrick Mahomes, but my goodness, gotta go with those odds. I do think that this goes a long way towards that, especially the early season. Now, obviously, one of these guys falls apart in the midseason, can ruin everything, but it certainly is going to shift those odds drastically in one player or the other's favor, because I think everybody kind of views the Chiefs and the Bills is basically 1A, 1B right now in the AFC, and maybe even in the league after Philly's recent performances. So I do think that you see that team specifically, whoever wins that, is going to be viewed as the guy with the better quarterback, is going to be viewed as the best team in the AFC and potentially the league. And that's really what it is. That's what the MVP is, basically, at this point. It's best player on the best team. And it will drastically swing to whoever wins this game. So, yeah, I fully believe that it's going to decide it at least for probably the next 5 or 6 weeks, unless one of these guys falls off a cliff. All right.
Yeah, nope.
Wolf 24 Travis Kelce is on pace for 24 touchdowns right now. Good Lord. What does he end up with, Maddie? What do you think?
My initial gut reaction was going to be say 13, right? 13 seemed good, but then I'm thinking about it and I'm looking, I'm like, 7's a lot already. To only say he's going to get 6 more with the way they're using him in the red zone and their way they're able to find. I mean, he's going to get at least 2 more, at minimum 2 more completely manufactured things that aren't even like real plays. They're just manufactured cheap touchdowns that go to him. At minimum 2, that puts you at 9. I think he's only going to get 4 more throughout the year. I don't know. I might lean to 15. I'm up into the 2. I'm going 15. 15 on the year for Travis Kelce. It's a lot, but he's already at 7.
If he gets 15 touchdowns, he is the offensive player of the year, period. I mean, he's not going to win MVP
his
because
year,
it's
a couple years
quarterback.
ago was stupid good. He didn't get it.
Oh, man. I think he's going to do that. Zach, added an addendum here. Will Travis catch 10 touchdowns before either MVS or Juju catches there first? No, I don't think so. I realize that that's just 3 touchdowns away and the man's coming off of a 4-touchdown game. I totally get it. I think we've seen some routes designed for Juju, specifically Juju, over the past couple of weeks. They want to get him one. They really do.
He gets one this week.
I think he does too. I think we're seeing a Juju touchdown within the next week or 2, certainly. Very clearly seem they want to get him going in that realm. MVS, I think MVS, you're going to see a touchdown on a longer play, like something over the top, something that he gets a little bit loose on. That could also happen this week as well. I think that theirs are just going to be, at a certain point, it's going to balance back out a little more. Travis Kelce is obviously going to lead it, but I don't think he quite gets to 10, maybe just 9. So Just the RK asks, kind of in that same vein, will any wide receiver break 6 touchdowns on the season, Maddie?
No.
I don't think so either.
We're too late in the year for them to only have one. Like, yeah, somebody could have like a 3-touchdown performance. But like right now, I just think there's been too much inconsistency in terms of who's getting the lion's share of targets at wide receiver so far this year. I do think Juju's getting the most consistent targets, but I mean, MVS is getting some too. When McColl's healthy, he gets some. Like all they're getting some. It's just no one's consistently getting enough, and especially no one's consistently getting enough in the red zone for me to feel confident betting on any of them getting 6.
Absolutely. And I mean, by the way, it's 2 touchdowns. I think you're forgetting about the Justin Watson score, or maybe you're forgetting about the McCole Hardman score. Both of those guys
no.
touchdown right now.
No, I knew that they had one. Sorry, if I said nobody has one, I misspoke.
One. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Ignore me.
So that's where we are with that. I just don't think so.
All right. Andy Nagel, what players turned out to be a great pick that you didn't like at the time? Any team, any of the last 3 drafts? Maddie, do you have one that jumps to mind here? I meant to kind of think on this a little bit, and I didn't.
Yeah, easy. Creed Humphrey.
Oh, there you go.
I didn't love the Chiefs' whole second round that year with Nick Bolton and Creed Humphrey, and it was a little bit about the players, but more so about the positional value there, and I still have some qualms with it. However, I can definitely see with Creed Humphrey how that pick was absolutely positively worth it because he's been everything you would have hoped for out of a second-round center and more. And I think that he's been good enough that you kind of get over the positional value qualms there. I'm not there with Nick Bolton yet. I also have more questions about his play in the NFL than I do Creed Humphreys right now. So like, that's why I didn't go with him yet, to where I'm like, I love that pick now, but Creed Humphrey, great pick. And at the time, anyone that remembers it, I was pretty heated about not liking it.
Yeah, you were. Noah Igbenogany. No, he's been terrible. I just miss a lot of guys. I don't like most of the guys that I don't like are usually into the draft guys, and those guys, like, I wasn't a big Ernest Jones fan when he came out a couple of years ago, and he was phenomenal for the Rams last year. Was arguably the second best defensive player on that team in the Super Bowl. I was not a big Ernest Jones fan. Most of the guys that I don't like, based on the positions that I have covered for the KCSN draft guide in the past, are typically guys that are like late day 3 guys. Grant Stewart's still kicking around in the league. What a big
Jones was a 3rd round pick, so yeah, that one counts.
Yeah, there you go.
You probably wouldn't have liked him drafted in round 3.
I wouldn't have liked him drafted in round 3. You're right. I didn't like him that much. So most of those guys are there. Most of the corners that get drafted early are guys that I like because they've got good athletic profiles, and I'm the CBAT guy, and that's typically when they go. So I just kind of generally like those types of guys. So I don't have one that I feel like I didn't like the pick at the time that didn't work out. Most of those guys, Zaven Collins, Isaiah Simmons, they haven't really worked out so far. So, all right, Mike Denny, you're doing a little day drinking and you have room in your cooler to put in 6 cans. This feels very targeted, Mike Denny. What 6 cans do you want? Oh,
well,
man.
let me go first. Let me go first.
Mm-hmm.
I am asking Craig to pack me 6 cans.
Okay. You're asking
No, not right now. No, you don't got to do it now. That's my answer. If I was going to be, if we're about to hang out and see each other and I know I'm meeting Craig, I'm like, Craig, you're hitting up the beer store, pick out 6 things that you'll think I like and bring them. And I can guarantee you I will love at least 3 of them, like at least 2 more, and be able to tolerate the last one at minimum. And that says a lot because I'm not a big beer guy. I don't love most beers. I barely tolerate most of them. And so Craig could come out with at least half of them that I just absolutely love. So that's my answer. I put it all on Craig.
I do feel like that is the one thing that I feel like is a small superpower of mine. I am okay at that. And I mean, like when we were out at River Bluffs over training camp there, being like, yo, you're going to like this. You're going to like this. You're going to like this. Come find me at the golf tournament, Mike. I'll have recommendations for you. They're all going to be Dry Dock Brewing. I love Dry Dock Brewing right now.
You're going to find Craig and I running the beer cart.
Yes, you are. And my buddy Ryan, they're over at Dry Dock, takes good care of us. And man, they make great beers. So I love them. So at this point, just because I'm on their kick, six Dry Dock beers. Doesn't matter which. I haven't had a bad beer from them yet. So come find me. Tell me what you like. I'll recommend something.
Well, and now speaking of this golf tournament, you might see me there drinking this oddly looking tall boy. Is it
going to be a beer?
Can. No, Craig, it won't be because, it's a golf tournament. We're outside. It's a long time. Yeah, there will be some beers, but this particular tall boy, this enticing can is going to be a liquid death. That's right. It is mountain spring water straight from the Alps. 3 different flavors, sparkling, distilled, flat. Like they have everything you want. This is going to keep me hydrated this entire time while I'm hauling around this beer cart, maybe drinking some tall boys out of there too. But this particular liquid death can is going to keep me going. It is going to fuel me for the entire day. Not by beer, but by hydrating me. That's right. It's out there to murder my thirst. It is going to take my thirst out behind the woodshed and put it down because I am drinking this delicious water out of this nice, cool aluminum can. No plastic bottle taste. I don't have to deal with, wrecking the planet with these plastic bottles. No, I have this aluminum tall boy can, holds a lot of water, keeps it cold. It's so refreshing to drink out of. And I get to look really darn cool while doing it because it kind of looks like a beer. And there's, on a golf course, that's a good look. So if you're like me and want this liquid death to come to this golf tournament on Saturday that you guys are definitely coming to, or you're just going to kick around the house and want your thirst to be murdered, you can get liquid death at your local Target, Walmart, or 7-Eleven. If that doesn't work, that's okay. You can find a liquid death retailer by going to their store locator tool, liquiddeath.com/KCSN. That's liquiddeath.com/KCSN. And you can murder your thirst from your couch, on the road, behind the steering wheel, in an airplane, wherever you want.
I love that you use the word woodshed. You've officially surpassed Kent as my favorite person to do the liquid death ad read, Maddie, right then and there. All right, Casey from Casey asks, after 5 games, of your opinions for the ceiling of this defense can achieve, have they changed? Yes, I really do think so. I think they started so much better. First of all, they've started so much better than any Steve Spagnuolo defense in Kansas City has. And then the fact that they're playing so many young players gives me hope. I don't know if the ceiling maybe is as high as some previous years, but that's fine because it's cost controlled and they're doing a good job with the players, with these young players. The fact that they've been able to start hot, the fact that they've been a primary reason why they are 4-1 at this point, that's amazing for this defense. So yeah, I mean, I thought they would be eventually, average to above average. I think they're easily there already. So the fact that they're already there means that they can only go up from here in a Steve Spagnuolo scheme. All right, Rugby Fox, what's your favorite obscure sport? Maddie, do you have a favorite obscure sport?
I have a weird definition of sport that we don't need to get into right now. So like that makes it difficult. Like I think a lot of things are more of like activities than sports.
Okay.
So like it depends on how obscure we're talking about, right? So no, I don't think. I mean, like rugby does rugby count as obscure? I like rugby, but
Yeah, sure.
it's mainstream to so much of the world. It's like I don't know if it counts. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I get that. I mean, like, 4 or 5 years ago, I would have said F1 because I was a giant
Mhm.
F1 fan and nobody else was watching. And then Drive to Survive came out, and now everybody watches it. So that's not obscure anymore. But
Ooh.
like, I don't know, Chakrata or something like that. I do love Chakrata. I I have told this story on the radio with Josh Briscoe before, but my wife and one of my friends and I used to, have some beverages when we'd hang out back when ESPN Plus just had like replays of just random sports. And we used to watch polo, and we had the idea that we were going to start a fantasy polo league there for a little while. Yes, that's right. Not water polo, like riding on horses polo. I have a lot of knowledge about polo just from sitting drinking late at night and watching that. So I get probably that. I mean, it
That's
was literally
obscure.
on like last weekend, and my wife and I watched it for a little while. Women's polo was on. So yeah, just for old time's sake.
So I have my least favorite obscure sport, baseball. With
Oh,
that said, next question. Isaac Hugh asked, you have free days in Kansas City. What do you do with non-food suggestions? Like what do you do if you're just hanging out in Kansas City for a weekend? And what do you do that is not food related?
ooh, I'm going to the Nelson. I really love the Nelson Art Museum. Going there, Negro League Baseball Museum is a must. Like, gotta go there. Both of those places are pretty cool. I'm checking out, who's playing at some of the, little clubs around town. Just trying to see, catch a music act or something like that. Go hang out. Go downtown and brewery hop. City Barrel, Casual Animal, Double Ship. They're all down there. It's really easy to just kind of walk around and find some good brews downtown. So yeah, that's probably what I'm doing with some free days in Kansas City. You got any money?
See, when I'm back in town, I have so much family and friends that live there that like my entire time spent hanging out with people, which is great. But then
You
like
don't get free days.
yeah, it's not really like free because I get to come back so seldomly. Like, so I don't really ever just have time by myself. But I mean, like, I've spent time at like Union Station's a fun little time. If you haven't been before, the Nelson Art Museum, like Craig said, there's some decent hiking trails all around Kansas City if you're not
Mhm.
looking for anything like, super rigorous or stuff like that. I think it's going to count. Like, go catch a sporting game if soccer's going on. I haven't got to
Yes.
see a current game yet, but I would love to if their season was going on there. Like is it Independence Mavericks or whatever the hockey
Mhm.
league team is. Go check them out. Like they're still sports. Like I know they only half count, but like if you don't have some of these near you, it's fun to go out there and catch all these little games and stuff like that. So stuff like that's kind of what I do, but like I said, I don't really get free time there.
Yeah. Steve Eduardo, with how much Orlando Brown Jr. and Wiley have struggled so far this season, there's been talk from some fans about possibly needing 2 new tackles next year. Do you see any possibility of Tooney shifting to left tackle, even for one season, just to try and keep more continuity on the OL and not need to make 2 major tackle upgrades in the same offseason? I don't. I really don't. I think we would have seen him move around by now if they really thought that it was going to be a problem. They certainly have more interior offensive line depth. And if they really wanted to make that decision, I think they would have already. And they would have gone and done that. I know Andy said that he's ready to step in, which he is in case of injury. But even when we've seen injuries and guys, being depleted, it's been Prince, it's been Jerron, like it's been those guys. So no, I don't think we're going to see Tooney out there. I think we're going to see some tackle additions this offseason here.
I would
More than
agree.
one, even if they're both right tackles. I don't know, but more than one. All
I would
right,
agree.
Zaxxum Interax, approximate your energy levels for Sunday night after spending all of Saturday at the tournament, then the emotional high of the Chiefs-Bills game, and then all of the post-game content that we're going to be producing, Maddie. What's your energy level going to be after this weekend, basically Sunday night?
Sunday night, I'll probably be okay. I don't don't come down from the games like quickly, or it's not like a crash and burn, right? Like it keeps me up at night, especially out here on the East Coast when they're night games for a little bit. But like I don't usually have much of a crash per se. Monday is gonna drag. Like Monday will be a rough one. Like getting back to stuff on Monday, but like Sunday night, I think I'll still be fine. I'll still be riding the high or frustrated about the low of whatever the game presents. But like, yeah, I'll be good until Monday. I don't know about everybody else. I am the youth of the group. Tucker and I
was gonna
usually
say,
contain high energy levels.
I'm going to be destroyed because I'm going to be at a trade show for my day job next week. And so I got to fly out. I'm going to just be, bleh. Yeah, it's going to be a thing. So yeah, Pastor Jackson, since we have the 2 coffee connoisseurs on 21 questions this week. Yeah, that's right. You guys have a certain drink of choice, pour over, cappuccino, etc. And or is there a certain coffee shop you particularly enjoy? I can start with this one. This one's really easy for me. My wife works at a coffee shop here in town, a little local one that's, kind of a local coffee shop. They make awesome coffee. So yes, I do have a favorite one by default there. Even if I wasn't married to somebody there, it would be my favorite because their coffee's the best. I like to drink it out of a French press, and I drink my coffee 90% of the time just black, no cream, no sugar, just straight up black coffee. So I'm looking for, I know we talk about all that stuff on, we have advertisers and stuff like that. I am genuinely looking for the best tasting coffee because I'm not adding a whole lot to it, not trying to do anything more to it. So yeah, Maddie can attest to this. I drink my coffee black basically the entire time that we hang out.
Yeah. For me, my normal coffee is to pour over. I do like the smallest splash of cream, like the coffee barely changes colors. I like to just cut the acidity just a little bit, preferably, but I'll drink black coffee. So like I still not quite as intense and Craig. Like I can bypass a little bit of the taste because I do get that splash of cream, but for the most part, I want a good tasting coffee. I do like a pour over. I do like a French press. My only qualm with the French press was sometimes I wanted to be a little bit quicker than having to go through that in the mornings, especially as, sometimes when I first started getting coffee and like really getting into it, I was waking up at like 4 a.m. and having to get ready to go train people. And like, sometimes I just did not have the energy to do the whole French press process before getting out the door. So I do like that. Favorite drink. I've actually kind of gotten hooked on these, like shaken oat milk espressos. Like if you go to Starbucks, you can get the brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso. I have them dial way back the pumps. I think it comes with like 6 pumps or whatever. Yeah. I'm like, hit me with like 2 for this large bad boy. But I like oat milk and I like it in cold coffee. So if you get like a shaken, espresso with the oat milk stuff and even the little bit of sugar from the brown sugar is good. I don't like most sugar in most of my coffee, but it kind of works there for me. But I'll make some at home too. I'll get a couple shots of espresso, shake it, and then, strain it into another cup and then put my oat milk in. So I kind of got on that kick lately. That's my coffee drinking right now.
That sounds good. That does. That genuinely sounds good. I want coffee. now. I think I'm tomorrow. Drink some coffee. Maddie's watched me after draft weekend or something like that. Like this past draft weekend, we came home from the Kingdom Bar and Grill after, was that day 1? No, it was day 2. It was day 2. Came home after the Kingdom Bar and Grill, and I just made myself a pot of coffee and started drinking off of it. Yeah, it was after midnight. It's just like, nah, just putting me to sleep. That probably says a lot about my caffeine problem. Andrew Richard 6, never too early for draft season. Chiefs are on the clock. What are they taking right now between Zay Flowers, Javon Dexter, and Isaiah Foskey, and why that position group? Ooh. Maddie, this is all you, buddy.
Well, Isaiah Foskey would be the pick, but Isaiah Foskey, I don't know about. You're fine. I am hoping this is the second round if these are my options. I don't want any of these guys in the first round. So I'm just going to pretend in my mind this is the second round. Zay Flowers, because I think he is the most likely of that group to provide like a significant impact, a dynamic impact, I guess is the best way to say. Foskey's fine. I don't know what I see as his like go-to trade as a pass rusher that I think he is going to be good. I think you're getting a guy who's like not even rotational, a starting level defensive end, but you never get excited for. He's going to go out there. He might end the year with 6 sacks, 6 sacks, and be okay versus the run, but I'm not excited. Gervin Dexter is good, but I don't know if he's dominant. He might come in and just eat some snaps. He might show some pass rush potential, but I don't think he's Chris Jones. Not that anybody is, but I just don't think he's like a game record interior defensive line. And while I don't trust Zay Flowers' size, and I think a lot of his touches might have to be manufactured early in his career, I've seen him run good enough routes. He has enough deep speed that I trust him to potentially be a dynamic player at the NFL more than I trust the other two. And I oddly think this Chiefs team lacks dynamic players. They're not a dynamic team right now.
How wild is that to think about?
I know.
I mean, yeah, that's a polar opposite. Don't hate it. It's polar opposite of how it's been lately. All right, we have a bunch of Bills questions. Tune in. We answered a lot of these Bills questions for people, so I'm not trying to jump over everybody here, but a lot of Bills questions. Tune into our show that we did that posted yesterday. Lee 87. Maddie and Craig, tell me about the two things you like most about each other and the thing you wish you could change about each other. Oh, man. Maddie and I are the two that probably, like, when we go on trips, when we go on all these scouting stuff, when we go to the Shrine Game, Senior Bowl, stuff like that, Maddie and I probably spend the most time around each other out of all of us, just because Maddie and I stay in the same room. We wake up before, who am I kidding? We wake up before 10. We go grab breakfast. We do a lot of stuff. We hang out a lot. So I can't pick two things, but I can pick one thing that I don't like, and it's the fact that he's so damn far away that we only get to do that a couple times a year. So I mean, there's just so much. Like we've kind of effused praise on each other a lot, but it is nice when we do get to hang out because we kind of have the same speed, and that's pretty fun.
We do. And I think Craig kind of knows that, like, we love everybody that we work with. Everyone's great. And I love hanging out with every single one of them. But when we do go out on trips, Craig and I just kind of, we operate at the same speed. Our daily schedules are kind of the same. We want to do the same general stuff most of the time. Like it kind of aligns that we usually end up in the same room, spending a lot of time together based on all those things. But I'm going to embarrass Craig now. Two of my favorite things about Craig. He is genuinely one of the nicest people that I have ever met to people that he cares about. Craig will ask you how your day is. He will ask for information. He genuinely cares what you have to say, whether it's good, bad, annoying you. He's always there to listen. He's always going to be nice, lending a helping hand anytime he can. He is, like I said, genuinely one of the nicest people that I have ever met. That's one of the things I love most about Craig. Number two, he gives the best hugs. And this is gonna be a little conflicting here with my next point. He took the distance one, which is like, low hanging fruit. Yeah. I was with that. The distance part stinks. He's too tall. Not many people make me feel short. He makes me feel short. He's just too tall. Now, being so tall, it allows him to give these great hugs, but he's also makes me feel short. So, you can drop him down like 1.5 inches or 2 inches, and he could still be taller. Hugs would still be great, but I would feel less short around him.
I shouldn't have asked that question. Brad C., what's been the most frustrating thing for you about the beginning of the Chiefs season, and what are you most pleased about? Maddie, anything that jumps out at you in both sides?
Yeah. More snaps. I don't get where we're going with it. I get that they have other receivers and they all make it. Maybe he's not ready, but let's see him not be ready. I've seen them see a lot of man coverage. He's the one receiver that I trust almost the most to just beat one-on-one. Man coverage, beat this guy in this one-on-one Senior Bowl-esque route. He's the guy I trust to do it the most. I understand timing and stuff matters, but where's the snaps going? And most pleased about, I think, how quickly the offenses seem to just be okay. How quickly they've just gotten it. I thought we'd still be working through growing pains right now, and there's some, but they're still staying effective.
Yeah. Lowest hanging fruit there, Orlando Brown Jr. is the one that I'm probably the most disappointed about. I wanted to see more. I wanted to see him show up and kind of have a prove it year as a left tackle. So I really kind of wanted to see that pretty quick. But most pleased, the rookies playing under Spagnuolo and being effective. So yeah, that has been great so far to see a lot of that. Okay. A couple more questions here and we'll get out of here. Let's go with defenses playing the Chiefs offense with the highest rate of man coverage in the league. That's 40%. Will Sky Moore get more, nice job, Matt K, field time with his ability to separate? Maybe. I know, so non-committal after what Maddie just said there. He should, right? It just makes sense. He's a guy that has that explosion. He's got those big ass hands, his long arms. He can pluck the ball. We've seen him do a really good job of controlling the ball in traffic and handling all that stuff. The fumbled punt was what it was. He's seeing stuff in the sky and all that. Seeing stuff in the sky makes it sound like aliens were flying overhead. Had lost it in the sun. So, I mean, like, you see the ability there. I think it's just a matter of time before we start seeing him on the field. They've gotten by without him so far. I think as they continue to see more man coverage, again, not this weekend, but more man coverage as the season goes along, I think you're going to see more Sky Moore games.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm waiting for it. I kind of said I think it was going to be later in the year and start to pick up, but just the way games have gone, I'm surprised it's been as low as it has been. And even when he's out there, it seems like he's often just on the backside of plays, not getting a lot of stuff. We'll see if it changes. I would hope it will. I got one more question here. And if you want one more after this, we're good. This is either our last one or second to last. Leighton Y 44. Outside of the Bills this weekend, which non-divisional game are you most excited for the rest of the season? So here are your options. The San Francisco 49ers, Tennessee Titans, Jacksonville Fighting Doug Petersons, Los Angeles Rams, Cincinnati Bengals, Houston Texans, Seattle Genos.
I mean, at the risk of going full Rant Swanson here, it's the Bengals, man. Like, I want to bury that team. I don't care that they're down right now. I don't care that they're not playing particularly well. I want to bury that team. I really do. And I think, not to try and put this completely in put words in Patrick's mouth, but you've seen the way that Bobby Stroop is kind of handling the way that the Bengals have handled themselves this offseason. I think Petty Patrick is coming out in that game. I think we're going to see a big one. So for that reason, and for putting them where they need to be this season, I'm excited for the Bengals game the most.
That's a good one. I want to go to the Tennessee Titans because their fans got really mad at us for one time saying that the Chiefs were better than them in the comment section. I don't know why. They found a game preview or something. They got really upset that we didn't know everything about the Titans and we thought the Chiefs were a better team. And the Titans have generally been a relatively weird thorn in the side of the Kansas City Chiefs under Andy Reid. Like, they've been oddly a team that has beaten the Chiefs when they shouldn't. So yeah, the Tennessee Titans team I think stinks this year. They stink. Hear that, Titans fans? Your team stinks.
Go eat some more mayonnaise. You stink.
Eat mayonnaise and listen to Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Here's our last one. Bruce in the Fort. Let's talk a little bit about edge players dropping into coverage. This seems to be more frequent in the past. Is this accurate, and what's going on when this occurs? I saw him post this. Wanted to address it real quick here. Maddie, you can do this as well. With Steve Spagnuolo blitzing as much as he is, you got to have somebody to drop into those hot lanes, and you got to be able to kind of trap some of that. So if L'Jarius Sneed is coming off of the right side of the defensive line, and there's a slot receiver that's tight in there, you might have that defensive end drop out into coverage, or a defensive tackle drop out into coverage to try and take away that slant, take away, a quick curl or something like that, or opposite him if you're trying to get a quarterback whose tendency is to throw hot away from the blitz. That's not always the case, but it does definitely happen. So because of that, because there's been so many more slot blitzes this year, Spagnuolo loves to blitz, but it's usually blitzing to get 5, 6, 7, in the rush lanes. This year, it's been a lot of blitzing to get 5 or blitzing to get 4 even in the rush lanes. And so because of that, you are seeing a lot more of Carlos Dunlap, George Karlaftis, those two especially, even Derek Nottie a little bit there, seeing them drop into coverage a little bit. So that's why you're seeing that. Maddie, you can speak to that a little bit as a former defensive lineman. Sometimes you got to drop into coverage.
It is what it is. And I guess you kind of look at it this way too. If you're a defensive lineman, like, yeah, you want to be rushing the passer. Like, that's what you want to do. That's what you're paid for. Some guys are crazy and they love the battles and the run defense and stuff. I don't know what's wrong with those guys. That's not fun. But if you're told that, hey, instead of spiking into this guard and maybe eating a double team head first, and so somebody else can run free, you get a sift back and just kind of stand in an open space for a little bit and probably not get hit on that play. Maybe a ball comes near you because they're trying to throw hot and you should be dropping into it. Hey, that's kind of cool. That's a lot more fun. Like, sometimes as a defensive lineman, you don't hate that, right? Mm-hmm. So you're okay with it. In terms of why the Chiefs are doing it, I think Craig kind of covered it all, though. They are not trying to bring as much pressure, probably means less trust in some of the back end players this year to not hold up while they're bringing 7. So instead, you're getting a 5-man rush trying to overload one side, playing with rush lanes a little bit more, it seems like, based on the angle some of these rushes are coming from. And so it's working. It's working pretty well for him. But yeah, you're getting guys drop out. And I don't think it's been a problem yet. I haven't seen anybody having to carry anything vertical. They're just dropping into curl zones, cutting off something hot from, usually the opposite side of the field. So have at it until it becomes a problem.
Absolutely. All right, that's going to do it for us for 21 questions. We thank Macadoodles for sponsoring this. Once again, coming to Lee's Summit, Missouri this very month. I thank Maddie for joining me. I thank everybody for listening. Please like, share, subscribe right down here. Click those buttons. It's great for us. We will be back after the Kansas City Chiefs play the Buffalo Bills this weekend. Be kind to each other, and we'll catch you later. Bills.